Hi, welcome. I've survived perimenopause and made it to postmenopause, but it was not a very easy or, quite frankly, pleasant transition. There are a lot of pieces of information about perimenopause that would have made my experience a whole lot easier and less scary had I known about them before perimenopause started. So I'm going to share them with all of you. Maybe they'll help make your transition a little less stressful. At the top of the list is the existence of perimenopause. I had no idea that there was a precursor to menopause, so when I started to experience weird and wonderful symptoms, I didn't even consider hormones. I went straight to something being terribly wrong with me and spent a lot of time at the doctor. I had a very scary first year before I started looking into what was going on with my body and discovered perimenopause. Not one doctor mentioned that to me my entire first year, or ever come to think of it. But that's a topic for another video. Next, I wish I would have known that perimenopause can begin long before cycles start to shift. I never would have suspected menopause while my periods were coming every 30 days like clockwork. A large percentage of women, myself included, have a long list of other symptoms cycling in and out long before they notice their periods changing. Knowing this would have saved me a mountain of worrying. Number 3, being informed that there are 100 possible symptoms attached to perimenopause would have been incredibly helpful and changed my quality of life that first year. I was sure that the doctors were missing something because I had lists of different and seemingly unrelated symptoms and discomforts. I wasn't convinced that I was fine with all of that going on, and I wasn't buying the anxiety diagnosis. If even one doctor had mentioned perimenopause as a possibility, that entire first year would have looked very different to me. Number 4, that fat would pack onto my midsection and refuse to leave. I was becoming seriously concerned because I tried everything, but the scale just kept going up. In fact, I struggled with the menopause weight for years and only started slowly losing this year when I came to understand that what worked for me for weight loss in my 30s was not going to work in midlife. If I could go back in time and educate myself on how to keep the weight off or lose it, it would have saved me years of frustration. Next, that changes to cycles and bleeding could become crazy chaotic and at times downright terrifying. I could have been spared a lot of anxiety and fear had I been told what to expect with peri-periods, although looking back, I don't know if I would have believed it before experiencing it for myself. Number 6, that everything would start to hurt. At one point, I think every joint, tendon, and muscle in my body ached. I was told that I had fibro in my youth, and even that didn't hold a candle to what swept over my body in my 40s. Knowing about the effects of loss of estrogen and collagen and what to do about it could have made that first year a little less painful. I wasn't a candidate for HRT, but collagen and magnesium are essentials to me now, and I really wish I'd known about them 8 years ago before all of the peri-mess started. It might have saved me a wrinkle or two as well. Next, that anxiety could become a real issue in perimenopause, and not just general anxiety, several manifestations of anxiety. The health anxiety was unreal, but that at least made sense to me with the lists of symptoms and no real answers from the doctors. What didn't make sense was the fear that hit for absolutely no reason. The panic that would wash over me when I was just making dinner. The inability to do things that were never an issue for me before, like shopping. And the new obsessions like checking to make sure the stove is off 4 times or constantly checking to make sure I put my bank card back in my wallet. I was really starting to believe that I was losing it. I think it would have really helped me to understand what was going on with my body. I cope with anxiety much better now that I understand what's behind it. Number 8, that my digestion would change seemingly overnight. In early perimenopause, I had bloating that was downright scary and would even affect my breathing. And I started reacting to foods that I'd eaten my entire life. I also developed stomach pain and trouble swallowing, which ended in a scope with no real answers. Once again, perimenopause was never mentioned as a possible cause for my digestive complaints, and I spent a very long time in fear of an undiagnosed problem. Knowledge is power, and had I been armed with the information I should have had about perimenopause, I truly believe my transition would have been easier and far less terrifying. Are there certain things about perimenopause that you wish you'd known from the beginning that would have made your transition easier or less scary? Share them in the comments. I wish you all health, happiness, and peace of body and mind, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now.